Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? We'll start officially at 11, but figured I would log on and get ready. And I have a PowerPoint as always.
As
Some of
always.
these. Move these out of the way. All right. Okay. Here. Okay. I'm going to go into share screen.
I got it, Brett.
There we go. Cool. I'm glad you got on there, Wanda.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Let me share my. Oh, actually, I'm going to share this. Can everyone see this PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Let me press this button. There we are. All right, it is time. So welcome everyone to our second wellness chat. I just titled it All About Balance because we're going to be talking about balance in our bodies, how our bodies maintain balance, what balance is to begin with, and how we can improve our balance. So, and what it should be, I think, ample time at the end for any questions and discussion. All right. So, what is balance? Here, actually, let me do this. Just this here, maybe not. All right. So balance is the ability to maintain the line of gravity of the body within the base of support with minimal postural sway. So we all have a center of mass that we are constantly trying to keep from falling, from leaving our base of support, or sometimes known as limit of stability. And so just how well we can control that center. Often the center is kind of situated between your hips, kind of below the navel. And depending on what we do in our activities, that of course changes, and how well we can adjust our posture and limbs and everything in relation to that is basically balance. Another way of looking at it is from a postural perspective. It's the maintenance of postural stability or equilibrium, and it's often just referred to as postural control. So balance is essentially how well we control and maintain our posture. And we maintain balance in our bodies, whether we're standing still or moving, using various senses. And we're going to go over each of these, but there's a lot of kind of redundancy built in within our senses in order to keep us balanced. If we
Is
only
that
had
your
one of them
picture?
going, there was only one sense of balance in the body, and that sense was damaged, then of course, we would not be able to function or move
It's true.
very well. So there is a lot of kind of overlap, as we'll talk about. So balance, why is it important? What are the benefits? Well, first of all, it improves our muscle synergy. So in order to maintain balance, it's not just one muscle that's working. It's really the whole system of muscles across the body that are working in conjunction with our nervous system. And this, of course, affects our coordination, reaction time, joint stability. Often we focus on the stabilizing aspects of balance, but really it's that whole synergy is really the word of the body. And because it's so focused on synergy, if you improve the synergy between our muscles, then performance and your efficiency in movement can also improve. So balance has kind of an underlying effect on all movement in the body. So as you improve your balance, you actually will start to improve other areas that you haven't noticed. One of the big things, of course, big benefits is injury prevention, in particular, fall prevention is huge. It has a strong link with balance. Of course, you have better balance, less likely to fall, because the whole purpose of balance is not to fall over. Falling is when you lose control of your center of mass, when it exceeds your base of support and you can't regain yourself. So injury prevention is really key. And finally, there actually have been studies that have shown a possible cognitive benefit to balance, particularly in memory. So balance exercises can actually, you know, it is a really whole body exercise, and that can even affect the brain and how well we retain and memory and other cognitive factors. Now, can't really talk about balance without talking about posture. Posture can be defined simply as the alignment or position of the body and its parts. Of course, you know, there's quote unquote good posture, bad posture. I have this little diagram of neutral posture, which is what we normally want for a good balance. And depending on your posture, if it's kyphotic or you have high lordosis or various other factors, that can often lead to balance detriments. Particularly with kyphosis, which is the kind of what might be known as like the kind of more hunched back or hunched over posture. That tends to really pull our center of mass forward and therefore disrupt our balance. So working on posture is really important for improving our balance. Maintaining a neutral posture optimizes the balance in the body. So that's why, as we'll review, but in our balance class, we often are talking about our good posture, maintaining like raising the crown of the head and just maintaining a nice neutral aligned spine. So now into kind of the deeper aspect, how balance works within the body in particular. So it's maintained by the interplay and overlap of three major sensory systems in the body. That's the vestibular system, which is like the inner ear, the visual system, somatosensory, and the somatosensory system, which is like the feet and the sensory neurons all throughout your limbs. And as you can kind of see in that little diagram, they all provide information on the awareness of body position, and then the brain interprets and decides whether it feels balanced or not. And all of these systems, of course, should be overlapping. They need to kind of be saying the same thing. If they start to disagree, then that's when we start to feel unbalanced. Starting with the vestibular system, this system is actually provides like the leading sense of balance. So when you have a good inner ear health and everything, you're going to feel balanced. When you have vertigo or dizziness, right, you feel dizzy or you feel unbalanced. And all of that is associated with your inner ear. And that's why inner ear issues and conditions, can be really have a big detriment on your overall balance and physical health. The parts of the inner ear that are associated with balance, the three semicircular canals, and then you have these two pockets called the otolith organs. Not have to memorize that, but these the semicircular canals in particular have these little like tiny crystals that, depending on how we move our head, will roll around, and then you have these little sensory hairs that detect that movement, and that's what provides the feedback to the brain of how the head in particular is moving. So acceleration, turning, the speed at which your head is moving is all provided through the inner ear. And the brain, your sense of balance is largely associated around your head, around the brain in particular. Your brain is trying to make sense of everything around it. And so, of course, it's the closer you are to the brain, probably, something like this, which is really close, is going to provide that sense of balance. But head motion affects this. So if you turn your head really fast, or if you spin your body around and around, right, you get dizzy because those crystals kind of get scrambled, and it's not in relation to in a way that's that the brain can make sense of. Inner ear, conditions. Some people have vertigo, or crystals get kind of stuck or lodged, in a bad way, and that will provide negative feedback to your vestibular system. And alcohol and other drugs and medications also affect your vestibular system. So a lot of times, if the medication says, could cause dizziness, it's because the inner ear is very sensitive to a lot of the substances and things that we have in our body. And that's why alcohol also, right? People stumble, they lose their balance. It's affecting the vestibular system. So that's why we started with it, because our vestibular system is what gives the overall sense of balance, that kind of internal, intuitive feeling, and keeps us upright.
What
The
about
second
the otolith?
system,
What about
and-
the otolith organs?
the second system, and the one that is perhaps that we use the most to provide feedback for our balance, is the visual system. It is, of course, the sensory system giving sense of sight composed of the eyes and parts of the central nervous system. Now, just like the vestibular system, which is the inner ear, the eyes are, of course, really close to the brain. They have a direct path to the brain, the optic nerve. And the visual system provides the most detailed information that we use for balance, particularly for on the environment, of course. And of course, because we can get so much good information on the environment, it gives the most spatial awareness. So how we relate to things, in our environment, how far we are from something, and we are constantly adjusting based on what we are seeing, right? You see a rock on the ground or a step, you're gonna know to step over it because of your eyes. So we do utilize that. If you close your eyes, that's probably the quickest way you will lose balance or in some way, because you can't get as much feedback. Doesn't mean you can't stand up straight. Your vestibular system is still working, but you're not going to have that environmental cueing. And so because it's so environmentally based, lighting, moving environments, and of course your visual ability all affect this system. So lighting is going to play a really big role in making you maximize your balance with using your vision. If the environment is moving, or for instance, when you're turning your head, not only are you moving the inner ear, but your vision isn't able to focus on anything in particular, and that can disrupt your balance. So moving environment can also affect balance. And then visual ability. Some of us need glasses. Some of us are blind. And of course that takes out and limits how well the system is going to work in terms of your overall balance. Now, if at any point, we are going to have time at the end for discussion, but if at any point you have like a quick question you want to ask, feel free to ask it.
Brent?
Oh, yeah.
What about the otolith system, the otolith organs in the ear?
Yeah, so both, so basically, and actually just going back to the vestibular and otolith, they are providing two types of feedback. One is more of like vertical type motion and more like uprighting. I actually, off the top of my head, I forget the exact what specifically otolith organs focus on,
Okay.
but they're providing different types of directional feedback of what your head is doing in particular. So acceleration, and then vertical and horizontal type motion are all being registered through that entire inner ear. I'm sorry, I actually don't have the specifics.
Okay.
But if you do want to learn more, I'd be happy to look that up for you. Okay, so we went over those two systems. Now, the final. Oh, go ahead, Wanda.
You mentioned vertical and the crystals. Now, what causes that? Accumulation.
There are a lot of possible causes. So yeah, some people it can be genetic. Others it's these crystals can be lodged, and there's actually a therapy technique of kind of rotating the head to get them out of the position. So a lot of it, I would say, is very genetic based. The way that it was formed in the ear, may make you more susceptible for those crystals just kind of getting lodged in a way that causes vertigo. Vertigo can also be caused by various neural conditions, like migraines can cause vertigo. Substances and medicine can also cause it. So it's kind of a myriad of things.
Yeah, I had vertigo and it's no fun. But I was just wondering, how do you accumulate these crystals?
They're already in their ear. So naturally, those crystals are in the ear. They're supposed to be there because they actually are supposed to move, right? But it's when they get stuck or they're not moving freely because of the fluid or something that then issues like vertigo can happen.
Oh.
All right. Those are good questions, everyone. Thank you. On to our final system, which is the somatosensory system, which is a fancy word, but essentially for touch and proprioception in the body. Proprioception is the body's awareness of itself. And it is probably the main focus of balance that the body uses for balance. So the brain in the system essentially draws information from your sensory neuroreceptors in your joints. So each of your joints has a bunch of these specialized receptors, and then your muscles have receptors inside of them, and then of course the skin, right, for touch and such, also has receptors, and this all provides feedback, helping the brain really understand where it is in relation to the rest of the body. So, you know, if you know, the head obviously is way up, you know, above your feet, but this will provide a lot of feedback to that, and so that you can better adjust your movements in relation to that. So it's just that a body's awareness of itself is what you're primarily getting. Largely, it's going to be focused on your feet, because your feet are normally maintaining contact with the ground and provide a lot of information. And therefore, ground surface plays a big role on your balance with the system. If it's a really squishy surface, it's going to make you less balanced. If it's a firmer surface, you'll have more balance. The type of shoes you wear also will affect your balance because of the system. And of course, using your hands, like on a handrail or something, of course, will provide more information that will help you be stable. So all these systems, so ultimately, when they all are saying essentially the same thing, you know, about your balance, then they're all working properly. And you have good balance, decent balance. The final little thing that I like to focus on, there is a potential benefit of relaxed diaphragmatic breathing on a balance. In particular, there's been studies that have shown diaphragmatic breathing improves your intra-abdominal pressure, which has a stabilizing effect on the spine, which overall benefits your posture in movement. And of course, slow breathing, as many studies have shown, like with meditation studies and mindfulness, slower breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is like the rest and digest, the relaxation aspect of it. And it deactivates your sympathetic or fight or flight stress nervous system. So if you're more nervous, more stressed, then you're more likely to be rigid and less likely, and that rigidity will negatively affect your balance. And there's been studies that have shown the effect, if you're in high anxiety or you have anxiety, that has a really negative effect on your overall balance stability. So a little extra stuff to kind of think about in relation to respiration does affect balance. All right, and we're kind of coming to the end. So I'm hoping we'll have some good question time, and we can review other slides and questions. But how to improve your balance? So in the long term, right? Exercise, almost no matter what kind of exercise you're doing, is going to benefit your balance, because exercise, you're actively utilizing your whole body, and all those systems are at play, and you're always going to benefit your balance by exercising. I want to put a little caveat I didn't specify, but weightlifting actually, there's been many studies that have shown a strong connection between resistance exercise, like strength-based exercise, and balance. The stronger your muscles are, the better your balance will be, especially when it comes to lower body. So leg exercises, squats, and such are very, very, very good for your overall balance. Stretching, so loosening tight muscles, will help with your posture and hence your balance. Also, just the overall balance of your muscles, right? Sometimes one side is stronger than the other, or more tight than the other. So stretching is really critical to kind of creating that balance between the sides of the body and you know, maximizing that, which will overall affect your balance. And then exercises like Tai Chi and yoga are both really good and have had a lot of potential benefits. There's been hundreds of studies, especially on Tai Chi, showing the improvement on balance and prevention of falls. And Tai Chi, as practice, focuses on posture, weight shifting, and coordination of the body. So Tai Chi is really, it's like a exercise designed for balance. So I would definitely encourage something like that. Yoga also is very, very good. It's a little more focused on the stretching and flexibility side, but it's still really good because it puts you into more kind of challenging positions and is oops, there we go. And it's just a good overall mindful practice. Both yoga and Tai Chi also have that nice focus on our breathing and therefore can have those positive effects on stress and even intra-abdominal pressure and things that can positively affect your balance. Finally, for the short term, So how can you maximize your balance during an activity? So if you're just, this isn't stuff that will overall improve your balance in the long term. It's not like balance-based exercise. But if you want to maximize how balanced you are during an activity, then these are just some general guidelines. First of all, you want to always make sure the environment is suitable and will maximize your balance. So as we mentioned, good lighting, a firm level surface that you're standing on, having handholds or something to hang on to when available. And of course, that depends on the type of activity. But all of those factors will put you in your best state to be well balanced and stay on your feet. Next, if when you're trying to keep your balance, keeping your eyes on a vertical stationary target is really critical. We use our eyes not just for information on the environment, but our eyes also help when they lock onto things to help stabilize the body in relation to that. So if you find something that's nice and stable, a nice vertical stationary target about level with your eyes, it'll help you relate your body to that thing you're staring at, and therefore keep your balance, keep more stability. Having a wider stance will help, because the wider your stance, the larger your base of support. And so it means you have more room to move your center of mass. Raising the crown of the head is just a easy, good cue, because it helps pull the spine in a nice upright position. And I would also just put with that, just being mindful of your posture, trying to keep everything upright and neutral. And then finally, how you're breathing. Breathing slow and low really helps with your balance as well, with just helping you relax, get rid of any excess rigidity in the body, and even if you're breathing lower, creating that intra-abdominal pressure, which helps stabilize the spine. So yeah, that is kind of it's a little crash course on balance. But kind of hopefully there's a few new insights. Do you have any questions, or would you like me to go back to any slides for more information? Feel free. We do have a decent amount of time right now, at least 10-15 minutes. So.
What other subjects are you thinking of using for these health chats?
What was that?
What other subjects are you going to use for health chats?
Well, I actually am working on a survey. So if there, in the near future, I hope to pass out something to everyone for that. For next month, though, the two ones will be often I focus on like the topic of the month or the focus of the month. It's like this month was Heart Month, so so of course our first one was based on that. Balance I chose because it's an area that I've done a lot of study on, and just it's a topic that I think everyone would be interested in. Next month is nutrition, National Nutrition Month. So we're going to have a topic on that. And and I'm also going to be introducing on the second chat Tai Chi, kind of the basics of Tai Chi, which is something that, as we talked about here, it's a really good balance exercise. Also something though that I'm very familiar with and
I've loved the Tai Chi you incorporated into the exercises.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it's one of those things that it helps kind of make all movement nice and fluid. So it's really good. So we'll be talking about that, and like I said, hopefully for in time for April, I'll the survey will be out, and so maybe if there's any recommendations or things you want to hear more about, we can definitely start catering in that direction. For right now, just stuff that I am passionate about, I like to share. So that's and also being maybe timely with whatever the month is and what some of the national focus is on.
I think this is great.
Thank you. Yeah. And I encourage everyone, if you aren't already, to come down to our balance class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we really put to practice a lot of everything we talked about actually in this discussion. So, we'll be doing some things with the eyes closed, nothing walking related, but just to kind of see the difference and how when you take away certain sensory receptions, you can strengthen maybe the other areas. So closing your eyes while you do an exercise can help you focus more on the vestibular and somatosensory system. And by improving each of those individually, you ultimately improve your balance. Any other questions, feedback? Okay. All right, well, we will, I'll stay on a few more minutes here. We could, if there's, if you have, it doesn't have to be in relation to this, if you have any questions in relation to me too, I'd be happy to share. Can always spend this time. Sometimes with these, like this slide was more of a general overview, so we didn't dive into the really nitty gritty, but.
Hey,
but
Brett,
Mhm.
maybe talking about the feet has a lot to do with your balance. And I notice sometimes some days are better than others.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So so feet. There's a lot you can do in relation to feet. We've talked in our balance class how our shoes have a big effect on our foot health and our balance with our feet. So for balance exercise, actually, when you do the balance class, you're welcome to, for instance, do it in your socks or barefoot if you have a suitable environment, because the less there is between your feet and the ground, the more information your feet can gather from the ground, right? Otherwise, you have a shoe that's kind of dulling all of the information. The thicker the sole of the shoe, the less feedback you get, you know, and our feet, just like our hands, are very intricate with our neural network of receptors. So it's unfortunate that actually most people wear very thick shoes, because we really are losing a lot in balance and some of the probably ability that we could have if we were wearing more minimal type shoes. But that's not something that's easy to jump into either. If you've lived your whole life with thicker shoes, then of course dropping down to a minimalist type shoes could have problems, could hurt the arches and other things. So, but your feet do play a big role, but largely because of that concentration of neurotransmitters. We talk about in the balance class the toes and spreading your toes, making sure that they don't scrunch up. A lot of times when we're trying to balance on a foot or something, our toes have a tendency to want to kind of squeeze, and we don't want to do that. Ideally, you want your toes to be spread natural, because that'll widen the base of support in your feet and give you a little more balance. But it's just something that we're not very well trained in yet. But feet, yeah, a lot of feedback, and an amazing thing too, right? I know when we do like a balance class, hanging on to something or just putting one finger on like your chair or something for a little stability provides a dramatic difference in how balanced you are. So it's amazing how the brain can really adjust your balance based on that.
I've noticed that just one finger can give you a lot of support.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, and actually here, I'll so because I know we're focused. I don't know if you can see me when I talk. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen, because I don't think it's here. There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
This is not about balance, but I'm just wondering, could you remind us what the hours of the fitness room and how the fitness signups are going to be managed?
Yeah, actually very good time for that question. So the fitness center is going to be open from 8 to 3. So 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Half hour, it's going to be half-hour appointments, pretty much every half hour. So 8 o'clock, 8:30, and so forth. All the way, the last session would be 2:30 to 3. The signups, last I hear, I think there may be a few things being finalized, but last I hear, the signups are going to occur this Saturday. So tomorrow, at the concierge at Redwood Building. I don't think they've opened it yet, made it available yet. I think they want to make it official for tomorrow. Is when the signups, and there will be a general announcement with that. Yeah, and everything is to open on Monday, so on March 1st. And so the signups will actually just be for the first week of March, and at least my plan is for every week, probably the middle of the week, probably on Wednesday, will be the sign up day for the following week. This time was a little different. It's Saturday, which is kind of, I know, cutting it close, but yeah, for right now, that's how it is. Any other questions or? And I look forward to having everyone in the fitness center. I still will be having, of course, the Zoom classes and things. So I won't be in the fitness center, of course, 100% of the time, but I will be in between each class. I will be coming in here. So there'll be pretty regular supervision. And if you have questions when I'm in the room, I'm always happy to give you, answer and give you recommendations for exercise or how to use a machine and so forth. Right. We have about 9 more minutes, it says. So a little more time. Otherwise, the next, these wellness chats will be every 2nd and 4th Friday of the month. So the next one is on, I think it's the, is it the 12th? Actually, pretty sure it's March 12th. Yeah, March 12th will be our next one. That one will be on nutrition, and it will be in the calendar as well. And then on the 26th of March will be the second, which is on Tai Chi. All right. Oh, and I think, let me see. Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. Well, we will, if there aren't any other questions, I can go ahead and end it a little early. End at the 30-minute mark.
Thank you very much, Brent.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.